Okay, so this is my spoiler review of the new film Becky, starring Lulu Wilson and Kevin James. So what's really interesting about this movie is its choice of its opening shot with Becky, that we actually see where she is at the end of the film, where she's at the police station and she's getting interrogated about what happened. The directors definitely chose to show this first because they weren't concerned about you knowing that she makes out of this alive. They're telling you that right from the first couple of seconds. They wanted you to see how we got to this sociopathic murderer Becky by the end of all this. So they're showing you her in that state in the beginning, and then they go back 2 weeks earlier, and then we see how it all follows through. Now, one of the other opening sequences is cutting back and forth between Kevin James's character in the prison and Becky's character, and it's lining up her life like she's living in a prison, and that she feels like an outcast, and that she will eventually become a murderer like these prisoners. They set that up and give you hints to that really well. And they show little moments that are important. Just in the beginning when she's in the gas station with her father and she's looking around at happy families, especially mothers. And her mother, we learned, passed away. So it's already given her this jagged edge and a hate for the world in a sense. What works really well about this movie is that the character of Apex, who is the sidekick to Kevin James's character, his son, not by blood, but in their brotherhood, is basically this big friendly giant we finally see. And that he actually is going through a transformation from being a murderer who killed kids, this white supremacist, to actually coming full around to someone who wants to be peaceful again and not kill and change for the good. Even though, like he says, he has all these stains. He says to Becky at a point, you still have time, you're a kid, to run away from this. And we see the opposite end of the movie is Becky transforming into a murderer. And what I think they are getting at a lot, and I think it works well, is a hint that Becky is kind of this beginning of this girl who might become a white nationalist. Now, the symbol that we see on this key, the symbol that the tattoos that Kevin James and Apex have, is all the same symbol. It's used a lot for white nationalist groups. And at the end, she's staring at that key and is just admiring it. And it's scary, and it's really interesting because there's hints that the mother was a white nationalist. You hear this when Becky says about gonna be stepmom that her mom would have hated her, and that the mom maybe knew about this key being in the basement, unless it was just there before they got there. They didn't really kind of give you that answer, but I think they leave that for you to question. And I think they leave you to question, is Becky actually thinking about becoming that person? Is she becoming the people that ruined her family? It's almost like you're expected to believe she'll eventually get to the level of Apex. And the tragedy of it is that Apex finally changes and Becky's the one to kill him, even though he spared her and saved her life in the end. Her not showing him mercy, she just becomes the monster she stopped this whole movie. And they're giving you that she's going to be horrid too. They hint that out with the poster of the movie where it starts with a little rhyme about there was a little girl. And the end of that rhyme being, once she was bad, she was horrid, which Becky becomes. And it's cool how they blend that in where they hear the doll toy say that in the middle of the movie, and then she says on the walkie-talkie to Kevin James later on. And what's cool about this movie, it really is an homage to Home Alone, but it's Home Alone on steroids. It's Home Alone rated R, which is really kind of cool to see play out. I mean, you see she's got the winter hat. That's definitely to pay respects to Kevin McAllister from Home Alone. A big Home Alone-esque scene is when she actually shouts out to the bald henchman later on in the movie saying, want the key, gotta catch me first, lures him into a trap with a fishing net, and eventually kills him with a motor. It's all a setup of Home Alone, which is just cool to see it go full gore level. And I love good body gore. If you watch my reviews, you know that about me, and I thought this movie did not disappoint that department. And what was really cool is they had really awesome and creative kills. In particular, I thought the best one had to be when she gets on the roof of her fort, throws a quarter out at the guy in the orange camouflage and makes him think it's the key, then kills him with a ruler by getting down to him through a zip line. That was amazing. And I love they just went full on here, and then Lulu Wilson just went full psychopath, screaming and just stabbing him in the throat consistently with the ruler. I'm happy they went balls to the walls with it. That was awesome to watch. And another great gruesome moment was to have it work emotionally and full-on shock value as well is when the dad gets killed and shot, and right after she stabs Kevin James in the eye with the key. That was incredible, and it led to what this movie had a lot of, which was actually some really funny humor in it. I love the scene where his eyes just dangling out, and then the bald henchman cuts it out with just arts and crafts scissors, and Kevin James is like, what are you doing? And they gave the henchman with the orange camouflage some great funny lines here. When Kevin James says to him, does that look like a dog's backpack? And he goes, dogs don't have backpacks. Or when he's going after Becky and he opens the fort and then he's like, how many dogs do you have? That was just really great. They were able to put humor in without taking it away from still feeling that violent passion that Becky was feeling. Because sometimes when you blend both, people overdo the humor, in my opinion. You don't want to also distract away from what you're feeling emotionally through a film. And this scene, too, is so important with the guy getting killed by the ruler, because Becky is literally in this fort, and I believe truly that if she threw that key out to him, he would have left like he said, and that probably would have resolved a lot, but that wasn't going to be the case for Becky. Becky thought about her mother when he brought her up again, looks at the picture, and wants justice. She also just lost her father, so there was no going back here. And that's what worked too, is that you kind of look at this film, it's a perfect villain backstory. Like, this would be a prequel for any type of villain in lore. And it makes me want sequels to this because I think they set up a really interesting character in Becky, especially now that we know how she became the way she is. And the music was really used well here. They used a lot of tribal music with a lot of like sound effects and heavy breathing. And they threw heartbeats in here too. And it works because all the music was really serving its purpose was to make you feel the emotion Becky's feeling in a given scene. Like right after when she finds out that her dad's getting remarried, you just hear this heightened tribal music and heavy breathing. And that goes on throughout the film anytime Becky has a reaction to something extreme. And they confirm a lot how psycho a state of mind Becky is by the end of this film. I mean, when she gets back to the house and she looks at Amanda Brugel's character, she draws a smiley face on the window that's very creepy and very Joker-like. And when I was talking about just creative, violent moments, I really loved this moment when she is literally burning a white supremacist with his own weapon with fire, but uses a super soaker with gas in it. That was really cool to watch. But by the end of all this, when we're back at the police station, she's talking to them where this movie started. The key here is that she told them that Kevin James's crew is looking for a Canadian quarter. She does not mention this key that is on her neck that has the white supremacist symbol on it. So I really wonder, again, where are they teasing you with Becky here? Is she becoming a white nationalist, or is she just a crazy person? Or you could think so many things here. Maybe she just takes it as a token of memory of that, the time she survived all these people and prospered. Maybe that's just all a tease. So it's interesting. It makes you think. It's a really fun watch, and I really love it. Just went balls to the walls. I thought Lulu Wilson did amazing, and I thought Kevin James was pretty good. You know, I think that it wasn't one of those roles that it's not that challenging. It's not showing you what he can really do yet as a dramatic actor, but I think it has a lot of promise for him. I think he did good with what he was given, and I think there was just a lot of good comedic writing in here. It was subtle, didn't take away from all the other important aspects of the drama and the emotion to the film. And again, great score. It served its purpose. And I think that watching it the second time, I enjoyed it more. You appreciate it more knowing where it ends up and seeing Becky's transformation as the film goes on. And I think that was the most effective part, how they lined it up with Apex's transformation where he was becoming less of a killer. So to me, this gets an 8.7. Let me know what you thought of it down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I read every comment and try to respond to as many as I can. Please make sure to check out my review of Shirley that also came out this weekend with Elizabeth Moss. I think it'll be interesting to hear my thoughts on that. It's not what a lot of people are thinking about the film, so I would like to see if you agree or disagree. And please make sure to subscribe to my channel. It really helps me so much. I can't stress this enough. Every single one of you I'm so grateful for. So if you could please just subscribe and put on notifications, I'll be so happy. And it just helps me in so many ways you have no idea. So that'd be super appreciated. And please follow me at SteveVarley1 on Twitter and Instagram for more of me. And I'll see you next time.